Welcome to The Village Lantern, a podcast for families living with hidden challenges such as autism and other neurodiverse conditions, and for anyone else wanting to understand, love and support. Our mission is to build understanding, empathy and love for families living with one or more children who have hidden conditions that make life harder in one way or another. We call this extra zing. Hi villagers, hope you're doing well. Quick intro for this ep. This is a Char and Bel conversation with me, of course, and we've chosen the topic of siblings. Anyone who has more than one child will understand why we've chosen this topic. The added complication of trying to make sure you're meeting as best as you can needs of all your kids just brings a whole extra level of complexity. So we've started this conversation, I think like all of them, we're just scratching the surface and no doubt we'll come back to it, but we thought this was an important one. Hope you like it.
It's so hard at the moment because, as I said earlier, they're the magnets that just repelling against each other. But we've been doing family therapy, which is so hideous.
Oh, I thought you were going to say good and I was going to be like, I want to do that too, but no. In the spirit of reconciliation, Takes a Village acknowledges the traditional custodians of country, here on the lands of the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri Woi-Wurrung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, as well as throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Ladies, how are we?
So tired.
So tired. Tell us why.
Oh, we've had a bit of news in the last... God, it feels like... It's actually only been a week, I think, since we found out. So my 4-year-old daughter just got diagnosed as autistic. So although that was... I was going to say, although it was expected, it actually wasn't that expected, to be honest. And we're quite shocked, but...
Well, you suspected, didn't you? I mean, I remember you said at one of our intros to be determined. Neuro-TBC. And we talked about diagnosis, didn't we? But you're now having that live experience of, even though you've had it before, it's a new blow, shock. Yeah,
I've been getting the same feelings I got when my now 10-year-old was diagnosed at 4. He was diagnosed at 4, 3 or 4. Because we had a similar thing where we're like, not sure. And also... she's a girl, which is...
And do you think because she presents so differently to him that you were...
Very different.
Yeah, that's why you were probably shocked.
And I think, but in the last few months, possibly the last year, I've noticed quite a lot of behaviours that I was like, it's that thing of this isn't developing how most kids are. And I could see her in environments, I've been around her a lot more lately, and I could see things weren't bumbling along. And but I think in my heart of hearts, I kind of knew. But girls are very different.
And I think you've said along the way that spending more time with my Millie, who's obviously a lot older, but has been also insightful, because there are quite a lot of similarities, aren't there?
There are. I mean, it's almost like I've got a mini Millie. It was just watching the behaviour, and also they kind of connected, didn't they?
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's this, at the moment, we're kind of looking into PDA profile for her because my 10-year-old has that too, but she has, I would say, more classic presentation. So
because she's got that emotional dysregulation.
Massively. Can't regulate her emotions. She's so
I promise you gets better.
Yeah.
You have promised me that along the way as well. And it's hard. You want to hear it, but you can't imagine it. But then...
I think that it gets compounded when they're only 4 because there's no frontal lobe development. There's no emotional regulation anyway. Then you go, well, what's developmental and what's something a bit more? So that was like, maybe she'll be okay. But actually now I can see every little bit of her behaviour has come from a place of dysregulation, anger. It's just absolute anxiety. She's living in fear all the time. So she explodes constantly for every demand. So it doesn't really matter what that demand is. And so transitions are a nightmare. So we can't do anything, go anywhere.
Or leave if you get there.
Can't leave when we get there. Once we get there, we can't get back. It's like a little mini dictator who's in fight or flight mode.
Do you feel like you need to be like 100 steps ahead of her all the time?
Have to think
'Cause
ahead.
I remember feeling that.
Yeah, the strategies, the kind of constant puzzle in your head of, okay, if I do this, will she get in the car? I need to get the 10-year-old to school. How am I going to do that if there's a refusal to even move by her? So, I've had to have...
Or to swear and scream.
Oh, my God. Yesterday, she whined down the window and was like, "You're all fuckheads." She's 4. As we're in traffic.
But they all are.
Yeah. She's like...
Well, as far as they're concerned, they are, because the world's against them, right?
Yeah. It's like... all this traffic is full of fuckheads because it's stopping her getting home where she will feel safe. And so I'm like, "Sorry, everyone. Sorry."
And then you're like...
I was like frantically pressing the button that locks the window.
Oh, well, once my Millie gave the finger to a truck driver who pulled over and got out of the truck. And he had a rage. Like, he was obviously in his own difficult place.
For like a 9-year-old or something.
I can't remember how old she was. Now it's like a funny family joke. Remember that time? But I was like, dude, you don't know what other people are going through. No. I mean, of course, as if she cared.
But why
like,
is
she
he
was
so
also
threatened by a 9-year-old girl?
Totally.
Giving him the finger.
Look, I mean, clearly he had his own stuff, right? And now that I understand so much more about how people get to that place, I'm like, oh, look, it was fine. Nothing happened. I did have visions of like a crowbar through the windscreen or something. But, now I'm just like, that poor guy. He's obviously at his wit's end, and then this little so-and-so.
Giving him the bird.
Yeah. But, yeah.
It's been a crazy week.
And you're exhausted.
I think, it's that come down of... there is grief in there. Not that we had created her as a little sidekick to help us in our way, but there was this chance to have more neuronormal... No, shit, that's wrong.
Just a bit easier, right? Just a bit easier. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Just mainstream. Can we call them like neuro? I don't know. We need to find a word that doesn't.
It's not.
Because we're not here to offend anyone, but we are allowed to say this is really hard, and we are allowed to say sometimes we wish it was different, right? You can say that.
I think that was the grief that we got this week. Like, it's been hard. We were like, it can't get any harder.
But it's already been so hard.
Like, and then we're like, well, we don't have any energy left for this. Like, you need energy for this because the combination of both of them is not good. They both need completely different things. So the struggle we're having at the moment is, how are we going to meet their needs in the same household at the same time without literally a war or a breakdown or something breaking?
I feel like mine, number 2 and 3, they're like a magnet that is the opposite.
The repelling kind.
So you put them near each other and they...
Yeah, so they repel. I remember you saying to me once, Bel, I can't remember if it was like the jelly in the bowl in the different colours, and when one kid starts to cope a bit better, then the other kids just fill out that space with their own issues. They're like, oh, now I've got a bit of space, all my stuff's coming.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
That's exactly what the psychologist explained to us this week. She said, what we think's happened is the 10-year-old has had a lot of work done, and we've been working really, really hard to get him regulated and calm and medicated and
he's older, right?
And
he's had a lot more time.
Yeah, and it's gone from 0 of absolute nightmare, he had a breakdown, it was really difficult, to he's functioning, he's doing really well, he's happy, there's moments of pure joy, and we're able to like back off a bit and be a bit more...
Hang on, I have to interrupt you. There's moments of joy.
There's moments of joy.
With him.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is amazing.
Amazing. Amazing. He's got new hobbies. He's got all sorts of things going on that aren't involved with horror or serial killers.
Oh my God.
It's amazing.
Shava.
He's honestly become like this amazing person again. I've got him back, basically. I've got him back. It's amazing. Yeah. So obviously she felt the need to, this is my time now to fully let the world hear me roar, basically. I'm not happy, I am really struggling, and finally my parents have got time to help me. And so by being like, she's incredibly violent, incredibly volatile, it's awful because you go, oh my sweet little girl, what's happened? She is very volatile and violent, and my 10-year-old was never violent. He was never that volatile. He was always very sweet and just had a lot of anxiety and worry and fears, but her fear comes out in like I'm just going to punch you really, really hard or try and rip your skin
Which
off.
is anxiety.
Anxiety.
And that, I remember that so clearly.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. I remember going to the psychologist saying, but they're just so angry all the time. Yeah, that's anxiety. No, you don't understand. They're just really angry all the time. No, that's because they're anxious. And it took me so long to understand that.
And you need to have that in your head when your child is attacking you, and like literally finding the bit on your body that's the softest, most vulnerable point and aiming for that to hurt you the most. You have to keep reminding yourself. I've had to become incredibly zen and go, she's just really, really anxious. She doesn't really hate you.
So what do you do in those moments? She's not going to turn out to be a killer. You have, because it's all about...
God, I know.
I don't even let my brain go there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of catastrophizing and jumping to the future and going, oh my God, if she speaks to like people like this, what's going to happen? It's so antisocial. She's like, is she going to have relationships where she's a narcissist? It's going to be awful. And you jump to that, and I've done so much reading on PDA and how it's really common for parents to just jump to the worst case scenario, and then you're getting triggered. So you're like, oh my God, I have to stop this baby. I have to tell her off. I have to say, no, we don't hit. But by saying, no, we don't hit, that's a demand, that's a threat back to her.
It's a criticism as well.
Criticism, like she'll feel, there's shame there. She feels shame. She doesn't want to hit us. So, yeah, I've had to do this. I mean, it's taken a lot of work. I mean, I'm doing so much family therapy to try and change my wiring of my brain to be about radical acceptance of her behaviour is coming from a place of absolute anxiety, and I should not fear her or feel scared or worry about her future or get angry it's very hard or not catastrophize. I have to just massively empathise
and make sure the space around her though is safe when she's
and it's hard because
meltdown.
she's 4, so she can't tell. I'm not allowed to hug her. I'm not allowed to do all the things that a mum normally would do to calm a child.
I remember our therapist saying it was really important for them to connect with their, have a sensory experience in that meltdown. So whether that's chewing on ice, like I used to do that with my eldest, like, I know you don't want me to touch you, but just shove the ice in your mouth, or get in a hot or cold shower.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
really
that would be forced, as awful as that is. Just something to kind of break that.
Bring you back to your body.
Yeah, bring you back to your body. Yeah.
But the other thing, Shah, that I can see from your kids is that your 10-year-old, and I didn't know him when he was younger, but he's got a really good ability to articulate his fears, his concerns, and that helps. It doesn't resolve, but at least you can get it out and you can be understood. And if you don't have that, my daughter doesn't really have that still, it's getting there, but that ability to verbalise, because that's part of communication, right? If they don't have that, if they can't say what or why or how, then it comes out in their rage.
Yeah, and you have to be a detective and work out. That's the thing that's really tiring. I think you have to constantly be evaluating and going, what do you think that behaviour means? Why has that happened now? Why now of all? We can be sitting on the sofa, absolutely calm, and she can just punch me in the face. And I'm like, what happened? What did I do? And it's probably just that she's sitting there going, oh my God, I don't feel right. Something's wrong. Oh my God. And it might be something like she's hungry or she just doesn't know. So she can't express that. So she just lashes out and is like a punch. And the problem with all of this is I've got an anxious 10-year-old in the house. So it's like living with I've described it like living with 2 caged animals, circling each other, day in, day out, going, who's going to attack first? I need to be on guard. And now it's got to the point where it's unbearable to live with. So we have to remove the 10-year-old every single night between the hours of 7 and 9:30, 10, because he can't be in the house when she gets put to bed. There's too much, it's too stressful, it's too...
And what do you do in that time?
We have to have, obviously, 2 parents, so one has to come back from work, someone has to take him either to his grandmother's, or we have a support worker that has to take him out, or the support worker has to sit with her while I will take him out. It needs 2 adults, and it needs both children separated. And it can't be enough just to be in another room, because he can hear her, like, even her footsteps on the hallway above sends him, he has a panic attack, full panic attack, feels sick, he can't eat, it's affecting his dinner, because by 5, 6, he's like, it's nearly bedtime. She's going to have to go, she's going to go to sleep, it's going to be a nightmare. He started to become like, I need to parent her, so he started to give us advice on how to parent her, and we're like, you can't be a third parent, we've got this, it's hard, and we have to empathise with him, but I think this is a huge thing. I get it a lot because obviously I share a bit on social media, and I get it a lot in my DMs of people going, oh my God, how do you do it? the neuro differences colliding in a household is so hard.
It's
because
so hard.
if you think about autistic people, it's all about autonomy because it needs to be. They need to have autonomy because that's how they feel safe. But when you've got
control as well.
Control and autonomy.
Yeah.
So control everything in my environment. Oh no, I can't because there's a
wild animal
walking around doing their own thing and needing their own control.
But they also can't fathom what that experience of that other person might be like,
No way.
because
they can't
it's
understand
not
it. Yeah,
right. So that's the other bit, right?
Because I've explained to him, she's anxious.
Yeah.
She finds it really hard to go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what that's like.
But they don't
that's
care.
why you sleep in our bed every night for the past 4 years. And he's like, and I'm like, so should we put her in? Maybe you could go in your room and she can come in ours, and then maybe she'll be calm. And he's like, well, no,
absolutely not.
He doesn't mean this, but he's often said, if we could just like get rid of her.
Oh, we get that all the time.
Maybe if I stabbed her, she'd be gone. And it's like, I love her. He goes, I love her, but life was better before she came along.
I get the send her to an orphanage.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dude, they don't really exist anymore. And secondly, she's not an orphan.
Yeah. Maybe he's going to kill you.
Oh, yeah, that would be a solution.
Yeah.
Have to kill both of us.
Then where would they end up?
I think that the sibling thing is the hardest thing in our life at the moment as well, and the constant, like the different needs and different personalities. And because my kids are older than yours, that's that sense, and that you probably understand, of some of them are getting embarrassed of the other one's behaviour.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So I can see my middle one and the little one, they're the ones who fight the most. He gets embarrassed when we're having like meltdowns and swearing and and stealing and running off and doing all these kind of things. And that then adds to that sense of like, I don't like you, I don't want you in my life.
And you can see the panic in their eyes. And as a parent, you're like, oh, I can see that child is freaking. I mean, we had a thing not that long ago. We were in a car park and Millie wouldn't get out of the car and was throwing, things at me. And my 10-year-old was so anxious, and he was like, really started to lose it, got out of the car. He wanted to call the police. And actually, I got to the point where I said to her, we're going to call the police. Because I knew that they would come and do a bit of an act, right? But my little guy, the idea, I hadn't explained that to him. And so he thought, oh, my God, Mum's going to call the police. This must be really bad. Oh. So I was trying to, help him with his trauma, knowing that, his trauma moment, that, he thinks Mum can't manage it. But I eventually explained it to him. But that moment as a parent, when all you want to do is try and manage each of their pain, and you actually can't.
Yeah,
and then
so
your stress rises, and it's just chaos and pain.
Yeah, I talked about this the other day with the psychologist, actually, because I was saying we just want to be able to do simple things that everyone takes for granted. And I gave the example of going for an ice cream. And I'll do the abridged version, but it was basically, we were in the house all day. The 10-year-old had to get out because he was like, I need to get out of here. We need to go. He likes to run. That's his stim. Get me out. I need to go to a park. It's like, yeah, kids, they go to the park. They run around. They burn off some energy. She doesn't like to leave the house, the 4-year-old, at all. She cannot leave. It's like, she won't wear a jumper because it signifies going outside. So she wants to stay home. He's like, I have to go out, Mum. I have to. He's crying. He's begging me. I said, I can't go. I've got no one who can watch her while we do this. So I was like, how do I get her in the car? I'm like, let's go for an ice cream. She likes ice cream. It still didn't get her.
You don't have to wear a jumper.
You don't have to wear a jumper. Ice cream time. And she was like, no. And eventually she realised, ice cream sounds right. It took 2 hours, to get her in the car for the ice cream. We got there. We got the ice cream. It was all great. I was like, I'd done it. 2 hours. I had a migraine and a small stomach ulcer. And I was like, I'm going to have a bloody ice cream. So we sat there and I thought, there's a park opposite. He needs to run. Let's just pop over to the park. We've got the ice cream. Let's go and just hang out in the park, just for just a playground little thing. So we go there. We're there for 20 minutes. That's long enough. You want to go home now. It's getting a bit dark. The 10-year-old's like, I need to go home now. And she's like, I'm not going. And it's like, it escalates very fast. Within, I would say, 3 to 4 minutes, I knew it was coming. It was war. There was full fist fight. She was screaming, "You're a fuckhead!" So there's all these small children around in the playground. God. He is going ape shit because he's like, I have to go home.
Shut down. He needs to get out of there.
I have to get out of here. She's like, I have to stay. So I called Sonny and I'm like, okay, I know you're at work, but I'm in a bit of a pickle. I can't get them out. And he could hear this, like, fists hitting skin
Oh my
and screaming. And I was like, we just went for an ice cream. And he had to leave work. He had to come home. He had to be the backup parent. And I always need 2 adults because I can't. And that's a nightmare because I can't. I'm never with 2. It's always me. You know, it's never 2 adults during the week, you know. And that was just a very simple thing. And I got incredibly depressed about that. This is before she was diagnosed. And I just thought, why can't it be easier? Like, this isn't even a big thing. This should just be a run-of-the-mill, pop in the car, get an ice cream, go to a park, come home. And that's the thing that gets teary with me. People in supermarkets with their kids, I know it's hell, but it's like they're just popping to the supermarket, getting some food, going home. How do they do that? I know it's a nightmare in the supermarket with your children, I know, but I literally was crying the other day because I couldn't...
You just wanted that nightmare.
I wanted that normal nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, the normal nightmare of, oh, kids are ahead.
Yeah.
This is really hard. No, you can't have sweets. No,
Put that back on the shelf.
Yeah, put it on the shelf without it literally losing one of my kids. There being a war. The anxiety of the 10-year-old is like... He clings to me to the point where I have bruises all down my arm from being held onto so tightly. If he's out anywhere, he has to hold me. And she has to run off. So I'm like dragging this 10-year-old with me as I'm trying to chase her. And she's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And she's gone. And I'm literally like, you know, I could never had to worry about that with my 10-year-old because he's really risk averse. So he's never left my sight in 10 years. Like, he literally... If I get out of the car, he goes through the car and comes out my door because he doesn't want to lose sight of me as he goes around. I mean, that's the level of anxiety. That's what we're playing. I know. Because there was a comedian who once said there's that really nice holiday, which is the 2 seconds after you get out of the car and you come around and get your kids out. I think
it was Louis C.K.
We don't talk about him now.
He's not a good...
He was funny. He was funny, unfortunately.
He was funny before he became a massive CUNT.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but now that you've described your 10-year-old's behaviour, I've forgotten about the anxiety, but you're not far off one of them, probably the little one, going to the park on their own.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Because she'll be like, fuck you, I'm going to go. And you'll be like, awesome, go.
We had that with Millie when we would go down to the beach. My parents have a house. We're very lucky we get to use it. And she would go, and because it was in summer when we couldn't have there was no structure. You know, there wasn't like during the school term or whatever, that she would take herself down and buy like a packet of ice creams or something and just chat to everyone. And then eventually we were like, oh, we better go get her. And then we'd come, maybe 8 sort of thing. And we would come down and then she'd be sitting there chatting with randos and they go, oh, we just heard you've had a baby. Congratulations. And I was like... and, you know,
like
just...
The wild imagination.
And then at one point the chemist rang me and they were like, oh, we've just got your daughter here. She's trying to spend $100 because she'd take my FBOS card as well.
And she's trying to tap, but you need your PIN?
Well, she reckoned that she was buying gifts for us, which, I mean, in one...
Chemist perfume.
Who knows? I don't know what it was. But, yeah, that's the thing, like, it's sort of it's actually making my eye twitch right now, the idea of, like, your child leaving. And but sometimes you just go, oh, look, you know what, it'll probably be okay. And...
We did that with our youngest. Well, we didn't do it. She did it. So it would have been, grade 2?
Yeah, about 8.
So COVID times. And she would get up at 7 a.m. This is so weird now to think of where she is now compared to then. But anyway, she would get up at 7 a.m. and just leave and go for a walk.
Wow.
And
you had neighbourhood watch sort of...
Yeah. So then my friends who lived nearby, who were social workers, they were like, look, I think maybe that's okay, but... she shouldn't walk the same route all the time because if there's some dodgy dude or whatever. But then we had neighbourhood watch, so we'd have all the local... They'd text me and they'd call a little line. Yeah. They'd be like, little line turning right.
Little line.
Seen little line located on the way back west.
I love
that.
The
lion has landed.
Yeah. But now we just stay in bed and swear. But
it's so hot.
there is a phase and maybe your little one will be like, get some independent. One of them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be her. Well, if she ever leaves the house.
Yeah.
Because the moment she doesn't, we don't get anywhere, literally. It's really difficult.
Is she on any medication?
No, this is what we're waiting
Yeah.
for. Now we've got a diagnosis.
Because my little one wasn't on any and was like full separation anxiety. You know, there's lots of hurdles that we had to overcome. But as soon as that got under control, that's when all that crazy independent, impulsive behaviour happened. But which a lot of it can be celebrated.
Because when you take away that anxiety, then they're like, I'm free.
Yeah, exactly.
See you, suckers.
That's what's so powerful, isn't it? I remember when that happened, and you were like, I thought this was supposed to help, but now there's this whole other thing coming out. And you said that that's what it was, that now the fear has gone.
Yeah.
Now the ADHD is really coming, into its fore. And it's,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So much to look forward to.
And that's, I suppose, their true self. Like, I feel like now at least she's her true self, as challenging as that is, because the anxiety was just so crippling.
Crippling.
Like, can't get on a freeway, I couldn't go out.
Yeah.
You know, there was just all of these things,
all these
layers and
rules,
layers, all these rules. And that, it took ages. Like, we had to keep upping the medication. It took a lot longer than, say, with my eldest for the medication to really work.
Yeah. It's amazing when it does. I mean, I think I can credit the 10-year-old's kind of transformation with amazing medication. He's now currently on risperidone, which is actually an antipsychotic, which is terrifying. And when they told me about this, I was like, what? How can I get to this point? But actually, they were like, when you see how great it can be, you'll be like, cool.
That's what they say about that. So that's the one that was...
It didn't work for Millie,
turned
did
very
it?
badly for Millie. But they said when it works, it's amazing. Yeah. But it doesn't work as often as, would ideally. Yeah.
And it's worked.
It's worked. And it hasn't taken away the anxiety, which we're going to now work on, because, he is being crippled by the anxiety. But in terms of kind of just being calm and level-headed and being able to think straight, and, he's going to school finally, but it is a specialist school, but it's, so very supportive. There's a therapy dog that meets him at the gate and licks his face to get him in. I think we all need that to get him to work.
Yes.
But and he's given him new hobbies, nothing. He was just obsessed with horror, death, destruction, evil. He was Googling how many children die a day in the world, where the serial killers live, how many serial killers are there in my neighbourhood,
and scared of them as well.
Scared of everything. I think this is going to be the thing that's got me so stressed this week is I was waiting for the 4-year-old to develop and become neurotypical so that I could get a break because, my 10-year-old was getting better. Oh, great. The 4-year-old will become a 10-year-old and do 10-year-old things and we can go off together and do 10-year-old things. And now I'm like, I've got another journey ahead. And of course I know that journey now, but I don't know what a autistic girl's journey is, This is new to me.
Well, you're in the right place.
I'm in the right place for that. I'm going to obviously mine you guys, already have mined you guys for knowledge. But
again, it's so different as well.
They say they told us about her autism diagnosis, and it wasn't until they said the words, "This is an official autism diagnosis for your daughter," that I got really upset. So I was like, it's it's a solid reason for these issues, and that the issues have been so hard for us to live with.
I was just going to say, actually, have you talked to your eldest about the youngest diagnosis?
Well, he got told by his behaviour support therapist.
Okay.
What?
I know, I'm annoyed.
Is that?
And she was trying to do it in a way
just because I was wondering if he'd have any empathy.
Yeah, he just
help
went,
him understand.
Do you know what he said? It was brilliant. He went, oh, God. So she's got the shit autism and I've got the good autism.
My kids are like that. I don't have the ADHD like that one.
That one, yeah.
Bel, you've got 3 children with diagnoses too. So actually all of us have children who all have a diagnosis of one form or another. How has the sibling thing emerged and changed for you?
It's so hard at the moment because, as I said earlier, they're the magnets that just repelling against each other. But we've been doing family therapy, which is so hideous.
Oh, I thought you were going to say good, and I was going to be like, I want to do that too, but no.
I mean,
do they attend?
Oh, it's family therapy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
See, I only have to do it with
Sunny. We also have our own individual therapists.
Everyone. Yeah.
Oh, my God. But the family therapy is excruciating.
Oh, and how do you get them there? Does everyone hate it? How do you get them in the room?
So I have to pick them all up from school. and it's like, 25 minutes from our house as well. So I pick them all up, and then they all fight in the car.
Because they're going to, because
they're just fighting.
Because
they
that's
always fight.
yeah.
And someone asked me the other day, what are they fighting about? So they were fighting about this time, they're fighting about which chair they're going to sit in at the therapist.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So then when we get there, they're racing and shoving each other out of the way to get the chair that they want to get the chair. And
Are
then
they different chairs, or is it just the location?
One's
of the
a swingy chair.
Right.
Yeah. And then so they walk in fighting, don't acknowledge the therapist. This is like our 4th session, and he's just sort of sitting there in his suit, sort of nodding and, taking notes and smirking in a warm way.
Because he's like, that's why you're here, guys.
Yeah. And then what I do like about it is it does force us to kind of cooperate, but mostly it's about 45 minutes of them all interrupting each other and fighting, and we kind of broke the therapist last time.
Did you feel a bit proud of that?
Well...
Just only because you want someone to bear witness to the true reality, and especially an expert who might have some suggestions about it. How did it tell us the breaking story?
Well, it wasn't a hard break. It was just a slow kind of crumble of him where he just could not get a word in. So they were interrupting each other the entire time.
Yeah.
And he was trying to, he acknowledges their feelings and says, I understand that you're being your true self, and you've got a lot to say, or you're not happy with your brother, but how do you think that makes everyone else feel when, we're not able to talk to each other? And the two of them, 2 and 3, were just fighting, like, I want this, I want that, you said that, you don't say that, blah, 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 mum, this, da-da-da. And he was trying to get in. And then in the end he just said, look, I don't think there's much you can do with these two.
Don't say that.
You do not want to hear that. And you're like, I know.
And he said and his eyes kind of went kind of bulging. They just one-up each other constantly, don't they? And I said, yeah, that always. Like, they cannot be in the same space without one of them either swearing or being awful, or you said that or you didn't say that. Like, they've had a fight about who saw the bin first when they walked into a room, And so he said they are not able to be with each other and solve this themselves. Like, there is no way I can see that they're not able to do it. So you have to, like, what's the opposite of one up? Down. One up.
Down.
Minus down.
Minus one
Reduce.
down.
Yeah, because they can't do it themselves. So
and you're like,
how?
Awesome.
Like,
how do you do that?
Like in that really boring Aussiating way where you say, I know your sister's annoying you right now.
Oh my God.
And it's really hard for you.
Yeah.
But you don't say anything else? You don't try and solve it.
No.
You don't add in your opinion.
Does it help?
Oh, I haven't done it. Far out. I was bored, and he kept doing it like for the rest of the 5 minutes. And he said, and I was like rolling my eyes, like laughing, kind of going, oh God, are you going to say it again? And he was like, maybe we'll just bore them to death. Maybe they'll stop one-upping each other because they know you're going to say, I know it's really hard for you right now.
Yeah, maybe they'll like a line on like, how annoying's mum?
That's all he could give us. Just with the siblings.
And
There's
he's
all
like
these other
genius
he's
expert.
a genius. And there are all these amazing family strategies, but it was specific about those two and their personality. Every time he says to my eldest, you don't need to be a parent, it's really lovely because it's like kind and saying, I know this is hard for you when you see them fighting all the time and you want to resolve it and you're getting anxious, but you don't need to do that. Leave it to your parents. You don't need to.
It's a really helpful thing to remember to say to your kids, but also in that situation, your eldest is trying to resolve something for themselves and they can't. They're basically like, leave that to your parents, and you're like, but I mean, my parents aren't fixing it, right? Because you can't. I mean, I've had that situation a lot, my youngest, when we've had a lot of really frightening situations. And he says, in fact, my oldest has said it too, but what are you doing about it? And I'm in my own moment, I'm like, I don't know. And that's, you can't, it's like on one level you shouldn't do that in front of your kids because they need to feel like you're in control. But also I think it's nothing wrong with admitting that it's really complex and that in that moment you don't know, but you're going to try and work it out, or you're all doing your best, Yeah,
it's really hard because obviously it's their survival.
Yeah.
It's the other one's survival going, I need this resolved to stay safe. And I think, we've gone on a journey with the 4-year-old where she was so violent and aggressive that we were barricading ourselves in a room with the 10-year-old and the dog and just holding the door shut because we didn't have time to think. We're like, we need to keep everyone safe. We need to get away. But then if you see it from both sides, so for the 10-year-old it's like,
he's seeing
what
you
the
panic.
hell is going on? We're in a panic room right now. And then you see it from the 4-year-old, it's like, why is everyone away from me and hiding from me? How bad am I? And so she goes
she
at
gets
it.
more, probably
she gets
more anxious.
I mean, I got a text.
And...
We've got these lovely neighbours and I'm always like, I'm so sorry. And at 3 o'clock in the morning the other night, they just texted and said, we just want to check it's all okay. We've heard so much screaming,
That's
banging.
Nice. And you know they're like,
they're so lovely, from love. And they're really understanding. I think she was actually a special needs teacher, which really helps. She does not get phased.
Our neighbour is an OT.
Oh my God.
And they
so
are
good.
Amazing. That is God / the universe giving you a gift.
How good are neighbours?
Oh my God, because I mean, it could have been awful. She was just worried that I was being beaten or something. Because there was a lot of screaming, crying, and this
door slamming
of doors. Which
all our handles on our doors are wobbly. All of them. Yeah.
From
slamming.
Holding them
and slamming.
I also can't believe how strong a 4-year-old girl can be. I mean, they say like, yeah, girl, you're so strong. Big girls are so strong. It's like, she's
we
like
know.
a sumo wrestler.
They really are.
With nails.
Yeah.
You know? It's
I know. And they're creative with finding weapons.
Yeah.
We've been in that panic room several times. We moved into a new house, which was all brand new. We've never had a new house before. And within the week, and of course moving is awful, right, for my autistic child. And so there's like holes in almost every wall. There was a coat hanger that was grabbed at one point and then scratches and holes in the wall trying to and yeah, I mean, by that stage I was just like, what evs, like nothing really kind of bothers me. Chris was really like distressed about it and upset and I was like, yeah, I get it. But siblings... I think that, I know we've talked a lot about all the challenging stuff. There's a few things I will say that are positive about the sibling experience, and that is that all my children, but particularly my boys, when they've had to been in those panic room situations and seen all those really wild, uncontrolled, frightening situations, they are so compassionate and so forgiving and so... I guess it's the life that I've only ever known. So in some ways, it's sort of almost lived rather than learned. But we've had a situation with my youngest maybe a couple of years ago now. He was in the playground after school getting picked up and a parent ran up to me and said, oh, my kids just told me that maybe he was sort of 7 or 8 or 9 at the time. He's gotten bashed up in the playground, the school playground. And I was like, oh, and I ran over. And it was over, but this child had sort of, started a punch on with my youngest. And all the other parents around were horrified. And, of course, they were all giving the evil eye to this kid who'd lost his temper and his self-control. And my little guy goes, I said afterwards, you okay? And I said to the teachers, and I said to the other child, are you okay? To the other child. And the teachers were like, oh gosh, that's amazing that you're doing that. And I'm like... Dude, I get it.
Be on the other side.
And my little guy said, what do you think happened? And he goes, I don't know, he's probably autistic or something. And he wasn't saying that in a nasty way. He was saying that in a way that he had understood how that could happen. Not other people can hurt me and they're dangerous, but some people struggle to control themselves. And he was over it. He wasn't, he was a bit shaken up, but he wasn't going home. We weren't going home going, oh, darling, you've been bashed up. This is awful, calling the school. And so I think there are things that your kids can learn that help them with their own lives.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And my kids always say, oh, look, I think that kid, they've just got some issues that they need to be working through. And they don't mean it issues in a rude way. It's just like, oh, look, it's fine, Mum. They've got issues at the moment.
Yes.
They've got,
Yeah, something quite powerful happened last week, actually, at school with the 10-year-old. He's obviously just started a new school, doesn't really know anyone. And because it's a specialist school, there's quite a few kids in the morning having quite a few meltdowns. And it's quite confronting when you're not used to that, because we're used to a mainstream school where all the kids trot in. This one, they're all lying on the floor, some are crying. Some
holding onto the bars, going,
screaming.
No!
It's full on, but they've all got help and it's all going okay. But there was this one child who's very distressed and quite ragey. And he just kept saying, I'm so scared of him. I'm really scared of him. I was like, well, he's actually, struggling. You're really nervous about going in. He's really nervous about going in. This is how he's dealing with it. And this is how you're dealing with it. Anyway, a couple of days later, he came home and he said, I spoke to him and I said to him, you really freak me out when you do that thing where you flip out, and it scares me. And
That's amazing.
And the kid went, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't do it to scare you. I'm just really scared. And they had a moment, and they then worked out they both liked 80s retro stuff.
Were they friends?
And they became friends.
And
I was like, that's it. And I just went, what, this is some beautiful moment.
Yes.
And I think the learning that's going on for all the kids, all the siblings, I mean, there's a part of me that's a bit gut-wrenched with the fact that now I thought I had a neurotypical sibling that had a front row seat to neurodiversity and was going to grow up and be this empathetic person. And they're still going to do that.
They still are,
They're still going to be all those things. Both of them are very, very, very... they don't have any idea about hierarchy. There's no issue with... they're very open to talking to anyone. They're amazing in that sense. But I think that's the thing I'm grieving the most, is that I have now seen that there is a level to an autistic person of needing things their own way. And a lot of what happens is for their own self-preservation. And so you have to there's not much the empathy is a different kind of empathy.
It is.
They feel things incredibly deeply.
Yeah.
They know when you're really sad. They know, I mean, it's an amazing thing. My 10-year-old says to me, Mum, I'm so worried about you. Okay, I feel like you're going to have burnout. But actually, he's worried for himself. If my carer dies, I am fucked. So, would you like something? Do you need anything?
Do you know what? It doesn't matter why. If they're still showing that care, that's also a way to build relationships. And you know what? Something I'll also say that I'm observing now for Millie, who obviously is having the front row seat by being in the play. I can see her working in a special school. I can see her as an aid at a school like that where she can absolutely relate. So the value of being able to understand within your own community, there's masses of benefits from that. I can see her going in with our dog, who we're training up to be an assistance dog, into an old person's home and bringing comfort and company, or going into
amazing with
right.
Yeah.
And so what you just described about what you were sort of hopeful to have of a child who can learn from that and have a front row seat, they still do. And it's just, your 4-year-old is 4, and because she's so articulate, I always often think she's like 15.
She chats like a 28-year-old
she does.
But I think with her as well, because she's got those big emotions and that anger at the moment, what that's going to translate into is big feelings, which are going to be really beautiful and important as a friend.
And I forgot about the nice side of big emotions.
Because
I haven't seen many of that.
No, it'll come, but it'll take a long time.
It's going to take a while. But once she can harness that, she will absolutely have so much beautiful empathy for friends. It's just going to look slightly different, but absolutely she will.
Loyalty, protection, that's what we see with Millie.
It's beautiful. Like it just is hard because at the moment it's anger.
And it'd be nice for her to have some friends.
Yeah, I know.
At the moment she's really struggling. Making friends.
I would also say just time.
Long. I know. I've got to do this marathon, haven't I?
Yeah.
And I think we thought we were once again a little bit home and dry, and now it's like, I'm sorry, pardon, what?
And because it's so different, you can't even predict what's ahead. That's what's so hard.
And it's a girl. I'm like, what? I thought I had it sussed. I've done so much reading. I haven't read about girls.
No, totally different.
I need to do a degree on that now.
Yeah.
But it's all we're all learning, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, Char, I'm so sorry that you're so tired. I feel you. We feel you. Val and I, we feel you, and we're here for you. Yeah. And thank you for sharing all of that. And I think siblings is there's so much. I mean, we could have talked for another 4 hours about siblings, but hopefully there's some stuff in there that other people relate to, and people, if they want to let us know, any other stories about siblings or anything else that you know, we could either explore or, you know, maybe we can even think about bringing questions in or something like that.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to see you, ladies. Char, I hope you get some sleep.
Oh, so do I.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you both. Bye.
Bye.